everyone. Welcome to the Red Room. Today we're going to talk about Uncharted Seas.
Yes,
It's a nice
Uncharted
title,
Seas.
and it's our new or next game.
And what is Uncharted Seas? Well, Uncharted Seas is a role-playing game, or it will be a role-playing game when I finish it, using the Red system, which is the latest addition to our stuff. And it's a almost OSR, but not quite OSR game, with rules similar to Ratchet, but not exactly the same. You can watch the video about that if you want to know more about it. But I think this is a synopsis of what is red. Oh, sorry, of what is red. Red
The
and red,
system.
they have similar names as well. Now, these will be games, not settings, as in the case of Ratchet stuff. The red games will include all the rules that you need. Not all the rules in red, but all the rules you'll need for that specific.
And some will be specific for that game.
Yes. So in this case, Uncharted Seas, it's not about pirates. I'm going to say that right now
Yes,
because
we need to put that disclaimer.
I think when I say this, most people will think about pirates, but it's not really about. You can use the game to play a pirate game, but it's not quite that. The time is not quite the same. So this will be an age of discovery, not an
I
age
think
of
there were
stealth.
already pirates at that time, but it was not the
Yeah, there
golden age
were
of pirates.
Moorish pirates, and some, but it's not quite the same thing. So it's not Blackbeard or
Yes, not Pirates
Long
of the
John
Caribbean,
Silver.
because
Yeah,
the
it's not
Caribbeans
Pirate.
hadn't been discovered yet.
Exactly, they were discovered during this time, but
I just
discovered.
said something problematic. Of course, they were
Yes.
discovered.
Okay, so anyway, what is the age of discovery? Well, I mean, that's a stupid question. I'm sure everybody knows that, but let's address it anyway. From the 15th century up onto the 17th century, you have that time when people are discovering stuff. No, they weren't discovering. They were just, I don't know what are they doing. What is the
They were
political
discovering, so
correctly
they
way?
didn't know they were there. I don't care if the Indians or the natives knew that they were there.
Okay,
For
so the
the
people were discovering, and among the people that were discovering, there was one country that was ahead of everybody else. And
very
for the
strange,
first
the
time,
first time it happened in history.
yeah, the first and last time in
Well,
history.
the second, but go.
What was the other thing?
We kicked out the Moors
Oh
before
yeah, before Spain.
before the Spanish, and we were a country before
Yeah,
before
that's true.
Spain.
Okay, so we did the Reconquista. The Reconquista happened here before. The Reconquista means kicking out the Moors. And then we found, not we, but yeah, we as a nation, we found stuff that was that was lost. No, they
That
weren't.
was a thing that was interesting. Well, how at least my teachers in school explained it. I don't know if they told you the same. Portugal wanted to expand, but we had Spain in our back. So the only way we could go is go out in the sea and discover what the hell was there, where there was nobody, and we could take it.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So we found a few islands off the coast. Well, a long way off the coast, and then we started finding other stuff, or sometimes conquering stuff from people that weren't really dangerous on the coast of Africa, and then other places. Well, anyway, there's an interesting book called, in English version, The Lusiads, which is our version of the Odyssey, kind of. It's not the Odyssey adapted, but it's a similar kind of thing. It's an epic poem, and this one is about. This one is a little bit more realistic, I guess. It's not about, even though it includes mythological figures. It's about the Portuguese people in general, but it's about the main
The story
theme.
of Portugal and
Yeah.
the trip to discover the sea way to India.
Yeah, so we have that very famous voyage to India by sea, led by Vasco da Gama, and that is the main theme of that book. And we use that book, or yeah, I'm still doing it. So we are using the Lusiads as a an inspiration for this, which means Uncharted Seas will not be historically accurate. It will be historically inspired, but also it will also include fantastic elements. Namely, everything that is included in the Lusiads will be here as well.
The pagan gods,
The pagan gods having an influence, and there are nymphs and other creatures there. So there will be a supernatural element in Uncharted Seas. Obviously, there will be other things like giant sea monsters and Adamastor, which is our sea monster. I haven't done that part yet, but there you will be there. So it's
he was a giant. I think he was
yeah,
the
isn't the
son
giant
of a
sea
titan
giant
or
or something?
something.
So is the kind of thing that here there be monsters in the map, and when you get into the Uncharted Seas, there will be monsters. Actually, in this case, there will be monsters. There will also be storms and the natives with spears, but there will be monsters as well.
And Morse.
And moors, yes, and pirates in general. Okay, so going back, in this game you will play, by default at least, a crew of sailors doing a voyage. You pick the voyage which you are doing. You can be doing something that was never done. You can be going into uncharted seas actually, or you can be just doing commerce, trade, or colonization, or bringing pioneers to explore the places, or whatever you want to. But we'll assume that the main reason you play this game is to discover uncharted lands and seas, explore at least. And so you'll probably be playing either a Portuguese or a Spanish character, because we were the ones mostly doing that, even though and I'm talking about in this case I'm talking to the Americans. Your discoverer was Italian, but he was working for the Spanish. So Mr. Columbus was Italian, but he was
although the English and the Dutch, then the Dutch, they also had a lot of colonies later, but I don't think they did. The most of the discovery was done by the Spanish.
Most of the work was already done. Of course, there were places that were found by
like
English.
Australia.
Yes, and yeah, that's nice. They can keep it. So the British and the Dutch also found some stuff, and then obviously you can play an Englishman or a Dutch character, but you lose. We won. We were the best. Huge. We were huge. Okay, so but that's up to you. You can play the losers or the winners in this case, and the winners, it's either the Spanish or us, because we were the ones that divided the world on half. Okay, that's that can't be denied in this case. Obviously the Pope was responsible for that. If the Pope didn't accept that, and obviously the other countries weren't really happy about it, and they couldn't care less. But anyway, they weren't doing
and
the
then they had pirates. Yes, they started having
and then
a lot of
pirates. that was later. So if you want to play the pirates, you can. We can now talk a little bit about that. So the Age of Discoveries ends in a time that the pirates weren't still a major thing, but you can still use the rules, because if you ignore the events or if you adapt the events, you can turn them into a pirate thing. But obviously, as it wasn't meant for that, most of the game will be shaped for a game happening probably in the 16th century, around there, or 17th century, mostly at that time. The equipment and the combat rules are geared toward that, so you won't find lots of things for ranged combat, but okay, things that haven't changed much in that time period. So basically, you might have an arquebus or you might have a musket. not a huge difference. Some differences, but not huge. Well, you can adapt that if you want. What else? So you'll have rules to organize and prepare an expedition. You'll have some rules for naval combat as well. Uh, they were already used for Ratchet. You'll have ships, of course, and you'll have a few rules for trade as well, because that's important in this setting. They weren't discovering new lands just because they wanted to find them. They were looking for other places where they could pick up
Valuable things and
yes,
here give
gold,
Chinese stuff to the
all that stuff.
natives.
Yeah. So trade is important. And founding colonies, you can also do that. And that's basically it in terms of exploration. You'll have a bunch of plot hooks that are inspired by things taken from the Lusiads and the Odyssey, and then just stuff that is basically that can happen in any sea themed campaign, like tables for encounters, tables for storms, and all that stuff. But as I said, this is inspired by the Lusiad, so there will be a series of plot hooks that are. But no, you are not required to read the book. It's just we are just saying.
It's
Well,
not
yeah,
that when Miguel said it was interesting, it's interesting.
interesting in a way that it's a historical work that we were
Forced to
made
read in
as we
school
were made
over
to
and
read
over and over
over and
again.
over again. Yeah. Okay, so but you don't have to. You just have to take a look at our book when it's ready, and you can use it. And it's not really the same thing. I adapted, or I'm going to adapt it enough that you can use it for different things. So this is it was mostly about things that happened in the way to India from Lisbon, but the events are generic almost. You have some things happening in cities that can be in Africa or India, or you can adapt them. So it could be a trip to China or something else, or even the Caribbean. I don't know. Perhaps if you adjust it, it could be the Caribbean as well. You'll have rules for alchemy because it fits the time, and why not? You can even do an alchemist's campaign, just going to some other places just to pick up new
No magic,
ingredients.
no
Yeah,
magic, because
no
if you do
magic
magic,
here,
you'd be burned. Well, not burned at the time, but
no magic,
probably
but
in
miracles,
prisons.
because miracles make sense in this case, especially for people. Sailors obviously were religious people. Um, with a slight twist here, because as we mentioned, there are pagan gods in the Lusiads and also obviously in the Odyssey, because of course there are pagan gods in the Odyssey. For them, they wouldn't call them pagan. And what happens? The Lusiads obviously was written by a Catholic author. Being Portuguese, he was obviously Catholic and religious, and the characters in the book, they weren't pagans, they were all Catholics. But the story, I'm assuming that it was inspired by the Odyssey and
Of course,
other
he
works.
wanted to do something like that.
You
And this
wanted to
was
do something.
the Renaissance, during the
Yeah,
period.
he was a Renaissance man. So what did he do? Well, he involved pagan gods in the background, not in the story itself, even though they are also characters. Eventually, they meet the sailors. Not all of them, some of them. Venus meets the sailors. Obviously, it had to be Venus. So the pagan gods are trying to. They have their own goals. Some of the gods, including Venus, which is the main supporter of the crew, some of them want the trip to arrive its destination safely. Some of the other gods, mainly Bacchus and Neptune, I think, are against it. There are others in the mix, but these are the main ones. So they have different purposes, different purposes, different goals. And Bacchus himself will do some nasty stuff to and Neptune as well to stop the trip or to kill them all or whatever. And this will happen as well in Uncharted Seas. So the pagan gods will be influencing in the background. If you want to, of course, you can just replace the pagan gods with something else. Demons. There will be also mentions to infernal entities. On the other hand, you will have some of the pagan gods trying to help. I am always confusing the names, the Greek ones and the
Because of
Roman.
the Roman and
Yeah, so I think
yes.
so.
Camões used the Roman version.
Yeah, you use the Roman version, and now I was trying to remember the guy with a messenger. I don't know what's his name, but he's also on.
Mercury.
Yeah, he's Mercury. Yeah, so
It's
Mercury.
Hermes in
Yeah. So in this case, it's Mercury. So I think he's also on the side of the tree. Okay, that's just that's besides the
some
point.
are neutral. It depends.
Yeah, yeah, and you can pick them as you want or just ignore them. The important thing is there are otherworldly forces included in the game, and they can help or hinder the efforts of your crews. And but there are also demons from the Ars Goetia, so you can use them instead of the pagan gods. This to say that the characters they will have the ability, a skill, which is called miracle work, the ability to request miracles, to request the intervention of the divine, saints, God Himself, Mary, because they are Catholics,
angels, yeah.
Angels, yes. And you can use that, so that they can have granted a miracle by a figure from Catholic from the Catholic faith, or it can be a pagan god, or if you fail the role, even an infernal entity doing exactly the opposite that you were requesting.
In the book, the Camões makes they are praying for God or to the saints, but it's actually the pagan gods intervening. And I think the excuse was that they were like a lower rate from they were working like angels.
Yeah, that's basically the thing. So this means that we included all this stuff in the book, so you can use it or not, but it's there. So it's historically we didn't do historical research. We used stuff that we know about the Lusiads and obviously not just stuff that we know. We did some googling, but this is not real historical research. So what I mean is, if you are looking for something that is really accurate, what I would say is use our plot hooks and our information about the discoveries and pick up Lion and Dragon for the accurate historically thing, because they are the same exactly the same time almost. Not exactly, but the beginning of it is the same. So even though Lion and Dragon is centered in Europe, but the rules themselves they work. So the magic
I don't think it's that not historical, is not that unrealistic or inaccurate from a historical perspective, but yes, it's not built as a
yeah. Even I was thinking even about the magic and all that. It's based more on superstition and fantasy than actually what they did at the time or what did they believe at the time. Even the Lusiads, the supernatural stuff is naturally the man was a man of his time, so he wrote it based on but it's also fantasy. So we took stuff from the Lusiads, not from history. So a large part of it is fantastical. But if you want to use miracles and magic done by someone who did research about it as it was used in the time, you can use Lion and Dragon for the rules. They are adaptable. You just have to adapt stuff that we don't have in our rules, like saving throws. but the rest of it you do the rules in the same way. So and the modifiers are basically the same thing. So this is not OSR because there are no levels. Other than that, it's entirely adaptable. So this is not available yet. So and I haven't started doing the layout because I'm doing the
Well, we haven't finished writing, and I'm also helping
yes.
because we decided that I'm too lazy, and anyway, nobody buys the things I write. So I'm going to start co-writing more with Miguel. So the God part, the concilium of the gods, it's going to be my task. Just one more thing that I think we should add is that probably most of the arts is not going to be AI again. And I'm not
No,
saying
no,
this just
no. This one.
we're not ashamed of using it. It's just so the people that you're always using it. No.
No, in this case, we'll use mostly art that was made at the time, and so it's public domain, and it looks nice. Well, not at the time necessarily, but that was done in centuries before, after, I mean, before now, but after the age of discovery. Well, you have 500 of years of art to use in this case. People
Inspired by the
yeah,
discoveries.
inspired by the discoveries. So that's what I'll be using mostly, even though in some cases I might use AI to
Yeah,
improve
for those
the
fillers.
quality because yeah, and also because some of the images which are public domain aren't that good quality, so I might have to use AI to expand the quality while keeping the image the same. Okay, that's it for today, and stay tuned for more news.
Bye bye.